Coming up next on Public Access TV is Fan to Fan, a half-hour sports interview show with host Dave Hornfischer. In this episode, we talk baseball with Joe Salzano, a lifelong baseball fan, player, and coach. Stay tuned. This is going to be fun and historic. You may get caught. Welcome to Fan, a sports interview show. I'm your host, Dave Hornfischer, and today I'm pleased to welcome Joe Salzano, a seasoned baseball guy, now in his 9th decade, playing and still coaching baseball, and it's his 8th decade of coaching. And I have to admit, as a Yankee fan, he represents another diversity dimension of fan to fan. I guess I have to live with it. Welcome, Joe. Thanks so much for joining us, and thank you for that beautiful rendition on your saxophone to take me out to the ball game. But we have to start with, I guess, how did you become such a Yankee fan?
David, I like winners. I like to win. And my first exposure to baseball, as I will say later, is 1946, 47, the Yankees and the Dodgers, and then 49 through, I guess, 1964, the Yankees won 11 World Championships. They, out of 14 championships, World Series they played in. And it just said to me, look, this is a winning team. Don't go anywhere else.
Well, you're kind of making me cry, but you know, my grandchildren, who were all 21st century people, don't know that. They know 4 championships parades in Boston, but let's put that aside.
Yeah, let's put that aside.
Let's put that aside. Maybe the Russians and the Americans will get along like that.
Yeah.
But let's start. Well, first of all, let's just start right now. Tell me, what are you doing in softball in your 80s?
Well, first of all, you scared me with the decade thing. I never did talk about decades. I talk about my age. I'll be 85 this year. First of all, what I must say is that I coached and played a tournament travel team for 21 years. We played over 1,000 games. We won 80% of our games. We had 48 tournament championships around the country. We really got some exposure to playing against unbelievable senior softball players. And our team was made up of that. And we went through different categories. We started as a 60 team, then you go to the 70, 65, 70, and 75. Then I thought, now, my last tournament, of course, was at the Cape in September. And I thought, this is it.
And you have a team of players from the EMASS softball league that we both play in, and we've got a photo of your championship team here coming up that just shows the great bunch of guys that you were with. There they are on the screen, and you know.
Well, that's how it started.
Yeah.
In 2001, we started playing in tournament, which the Cape was our first tournament. This year, 2021, was our last tournament, and after the tournament, we won the championship, and we got another trophy. We won it about 13 times. And so, great bunch of highly skilled, all from, actually, half of the team was from Massachusetts and our EMASS program.
Yeah, right. But, you know, your baseball, as we kind of hinted at before, goes back to your childhood. You grew up in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, Rochester, New York.
Yeah. And so tell me, and we've got a picture here, I think, of one of your first teams when you were a coach at, what was this, about 11 years old?
Those are me. I was older than 11, right? Yeah, that's what they were. They were like ages between 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And, but let me just say that my first exposure to when I was a kid, and I signed up, Kodak Park Athletic Association, Rochester, New York, sponsored a summer baseball, softball, fast pitch, underhand. And you play 2 games a week, and you play for 7 weeks. That's 14 games in the summertime that you play. My first team was a team called the Wrens. We went 5-9.
Look at that little
and that was my first job as a manager player. And I loved every bit of it.
And then you got involved in organizing teams when you were pretty young even.
Yeah, I organized teams, and we, you know, from there on I became either a captain or a manager of a team, and I got some great experiences all the way up through, you know, let's say it, American Legion, where the players are 17, 18, 19, And it was just a great experience to be able to play baseball, with uniforms on and so forth.
Yeah. And then you played all the way through school, and then you got back into more coaching, right?
Yeah, but let me I want to say just quickly, 1946, Rochester, New York, opening day baseball, the Rochester Red Wings versus the Baltimore Orioles. That was AAA, good teams in AAA, 1946. And what happened was that I had to go. That was my first exposure to a professional baseball game at Red Wing Stadium in Rochester. And like I couldn't believe it, but 10 cents was the box seat, the bleachers, and 15 cents a hot dog. My mother gave me 25 cents in 1946 and said, "Don't overspend." Well, I couldn't overspend that. But it was a great game. Rochester did lose 9-6, but that was the beginning of a marriage that I had. That's the way I felt, that I would love this game, and it sure proved to be that. That was 76 years ago.
Well, Rochester was somewhat of a hotbed of baseball, even beyond coaching and all that. When you grew up, there were some famous baseball players that came from Rochester, notably one pitcher.
Well, yeah, Johnny Antonelli was my idol. I was in the 7th grade. Johnny Antonelli went to Jefferson High School, and I couldn't believe what he did. He pitched 4 no-hitters in 1 year.
I have his baseball card.
That's baseball, yes.
I know.
Yeah, and Johnny was, he got signed in 1948, the bonus baby. That was the first bonus baby, $50,000, a bonus baby. He didn't do well with the Braves. And then he went on, got traded to the Giants, and became a superstar.
We have a picture of Johnny here coming up, I think.
Yeah.
When he was with the Giants.
Yeah, he was with the Giants. As a matter of fact, in 1954, against the Cleveland Indians, who had won 118 games, and the Giants only won 88 games, Antonelli gave up a run in the first inning of the first World Series game, and then shut him out. And then in the 4th game, the Giants, which they swept, they brought in Johnny Antonelli in the 9th inning to close it out, and wow, what a hero. That's Johnny Antonelli. That's somebody that I, later on in life, would get to meet because I was coaching his grandson. And he'd be there at those games, and I couldn't believe, what a wonderful individual human being. And also, after the game, he would come to me and say, "Good job, Coach."
Yeah.
Coming from him, it meant a lot.
And you knew him a little bit as a kid, right?
Yes.
Or your brother?
Yeah, he was, I got to meet him later as a result of a business. He went into the tire business.
Right.
He retired in 1964.
Oh, okay. But one of your real chances to meet a lot of the baseball players was when you went to the Yankees baseball camp. What was this, 1991, I think you told me?
That was 1991. I was 54 years old. And let me tell you something.
We've got some pictures of that.
You ever hear of wow, it's like a kid going.
4 pictures there on the screen. You can see them over there.
Oh, there they are. There's Hank Bauer and myself, and there's the Yankees in the dugout. Not all Yankees, some of the players. It was for players, anybody who wanted to go there. I was 54. The average age there was 43. But you play 2 games a day, and between games you would get lunch. Well, what happened to me was probably one of the best things. I got injured. I pulled a hamstring on Thursday before Friday. And what happened was, because Friday was going to be our game against the Yankees, I had to go in. I got carried off the field into the medic room, which was in the locker room, and Steve Donahue came over, start wrapping me, my legs, and all of a sudden, this door opens, it's Mickey Mantle, comes in and sits down in a chair, spent 40 minutes with me. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. And all of a sudden, I didn't feel any pain.
We have a picture here of Mickey coming up there from the camp with you. And that had to be a great experience. I just read today with David Ortiz going into the Hall of Fame, he was one of 4 players that hit 30 home run, hit 500 home runs and won 3 World Series, and Mickey Mantle was one of the other ones.
Yep, that's right. Well, Mickey was, when you shake his hand, ouch. But I asked him a couple, 3 questions, 4 questions, and one of them, the first one, said, "How did you get started?" I said, "Well, I was 12 years old playing with 16-year-olds. They were American Legion ball players." Wow. And then he said, "I went with semi-pros. They were 18 and up." He says, "And everywhere I went, I was pretty much putting the ball over the fence, and I was like a superstar. Everybody was talking about me. Said, but my biggest influence was my father.
Yeah.
Says every day he'd come home at 4 o'clock. Bingo, we had to go out and practice.
Well, Carl Yastrzemski's story was somewhat similar to that.
Yes,
his father
yes,
and a young kid playing with
that's
older
right, big
kids, and
yeah.
but we've got a nice photo here with you and Mickey at the camp, I think, where he signed it for you, and that was after the locker room, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
there,
also
there
I
you
got.
are. There's the two
there
of you
are.
with
Yeah,
you.
that's him.
That's-
And he signed 12 baseballs for each of us in that camp. 12 baseballs signed, which was unbelievable. You know, it was a great. They ran it like you were. I felt like I made the pros. I felt like I was a Yankee.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just.
Well, these camps are still popular. I know the Red Sox have one every year, and
Yeah.
they've been having them for a long time. I've known some people who've done that.
Well, down there also I met Skowron.
Yeah, I was going to
Moose-
ask you about some of the other Yankees you
Yeah,
met.
Moose Skowron was a gentleman. Let's put
Yeah,
it that way.
okay.
I had the opportunity to pitch to him on a Saturday when we had that game against the Yankees. Even though I was hurting, I wanted to pitch. I got through the first inning, but however, Skowron was the second batter, and bang, he put one out in left field. He was about 65 years old. The
Yeah.
average age, like I say, was 40. You know,
Players,
43.
1991, they'd
Yeah,
been playing in the
91, yeah.
50s.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and of
Yeah.
course Bauer and Berra. I had breakfast at Yogi Berra.
What was that like?
Well, Yogi, quiet.
Yeah.
He signed a book for me. I had a young boy that I had on my team was going to be a catcher, wanted to be a catcher. I brought the book with his picture at that play at the plate when he thought, you know, he tagged the runner coming in. That was in the World Series.
Oh, and Jackie Robinson
Jackie
stole
Robinson
home.
slid
Yeah, that's
around.
right.
Yeah. And what happened was I caught him early in the morning. We went to have breakfast. He was a gentleman also. What amazed me, they didn't look like ball players. They were just regular people.
Well, by then they were 50 too.
That's right. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but that's true with everybody. It's true with musicians even when you meet
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Well,
You know.
what it did, to get to play was the big thing, and the camaraderie with the other people from all over the country
Yeah.
coming there, you know, and I just felt like, wow, I made it.
Well, you had a good story about Hank Bauer you told me the other day with.
You want me to tell that
Well,
one?
if you can, in a minute, you're gonna have to cut it down a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
but,
Well, what it was with Hank
he
Bauer
was a great outfielder. He was a Marine.
Yeah, he was an
He
outfielder and all that. Over the
yeah.
years, he was one
broke
of the
my
best
heart
hitters.
as a Red Sox fan time and time again.
Oh, yes. But I met him in a hotel in Kansas City when he was older, and he had a throat problem, and none of the young people I was with knew who he was. And I went up to him and I said, Hank Bauer, you're one of my favorite all-time ball players. And, you know, he's struggling with his voice. Oh, thank you very much. I sent him some shoes. I won't tell you the rest of it, though.
Yeah.
I wrote a little letter, and I won't tell you the rest of it. But he was a great man.
Yeah,
Great,
right.
great player.
Well, let's not just talk only about Yankees. Let's talk about a Red Sox who is a good friend of all of us in Boston, Johnny Pesky. And you've got a book there.
Yeah, I got to tell you this. It was on my birthday, 7603. Okay, no,
We got a
2003.
photo of Johnny here too.
Yeah.
Of you with him. There you are at Fenway Park with him.
Yeah, he was touching my head without
Yeah.
the hair.
Look at him,
And we
yeah.
spent 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Just outstanding human being. He just talked and talked, especially about the 1976 World Series, which is a little odd what happened, and he just told me the real story. I thought the man was great. I sent him 22 pair of shoes. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, he signed the book, which I thought was great.
he told you the story about the didn't he tell you the story about that famous play in the 1946
Well, I'd like to say
World
what it was.
Series?
Yes, it was a play that
yeah.
DiMaggio was not. Tom DiMaggio was their center fielder,
Yeah.
but he got injured.
Right.
And they put someone out there. I won't mention it. And Johnny told me that there's a base hit. And that winning run that scored in the 76. Enos Slaughter came around. Harry Walker hit the ball to single to left center field. The fill-in center fielder took the ball. Well, Johnny said, you know, we do this. We get the cutout on this side. You don't stand that way so that the ball, actually you're stopping the ball and bang, you throw. He said it wasn't on that side. He threw it on the other side.
Yeah.
1 second,
Seconds
caused Enos
makes
Slaughter to slide through with the
Yeah.
winning run.
I had Dick Flavin on this show, and he had a story about that too, and how he said he met Enos Slaughter later in life. He said if DiMaggio was still in center, he never would have tried to score.
Don DiMaggio,
Yes,
you mean? Oh,
yeah,
no, never.
yeah, so-
Don DiMaggio had a better arm than his brother.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And that's what, but Johnny, just being a great guy, never went
Yeah.
out, complaining
No,
and all
right.
that kind of stuff. Book
Yeah.
is great, and he signed it.
Yeah, so let's see. I'll put the book up.
Yeah,
Put the
it was,
book up so I
it's
can get
called
a picture
Teammates.
of it here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And by
you
the
can
way,
put
it
it
was
on
on my birthday that I had
Zoom
that
in on
interview.
it. Whoops, turn it straight way. It's sideways. That's the back.
This way.
There you go.
There I go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Dom and Bobby
Dorr,
Dorr and Ted Williams.
Ted Williams.
Yeah,
Pesky.
that's a great book.
Oh,
Are there any
yeah.
other baseball player stories that come to mind here?
Yes, Joe Altobelli was a wonderful, he was a great coach, great manager, and he played, and then he managed the Rochester Red Wings for 4 or 5 years, the most popular probably Red Wing ever, even to this day. And he then got the job with the Baltimore Orioles as manager, and in 1983, he won the World Series
Yeah,
by
that
beating the
was a good
Phillies.
team, yeah.
Yeah, he did a great
Yeah.
job.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there was a lot going on there. But
Well, you talked about him being a great manager, and you've been coaching kids since you were about 10 or 12, 20, 15 years old, I
Yeah.
guess. And what do you think are some of the things it takes to be a good manager of players?
Well-
We'll start with maybe, is there a different, and then we can talk a little bit about with young kids, maybe in Little League, and versus, I mean, look, you're coaching seniors today.
Yeah.
How do you coach a guy like me who knows everything?
Well, you do know everything. It doesn't necessarily, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
We win or lose as a team. No one player, okay? We win or lose as a team. So I emphasize teamwork. Team. The other thing I look at are 3 things. One is, communications, respect.
Communications on the field and off the
Oh,
field.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Communications, respect, and trust. And when you do that, people just, it's I've always said it, if it doesn't start at the top, it doesn't start at all. And when you're the manager of a team, you are at the top.
Yeah.
And you've got to create this enthusiasm and the passion you get to make the players feel that. And you don't yell or scream at anybody. You look for ways to compliment them. Recognition is just something that people thrive on. And I make sure that I write those kind of things up for them so that I know they're going to talk to their family about it and all that. I never make a player feel like they're not on the team. And the other thing too is these are players, some of them never played before. So you try to find things that you can tell them, good job.
Even
See?
as a senior, that's true.
That's right.
My
Good
son-in-law
job.
played last
Yeah,
year, and it was his
absolutely.
first year, and that's what he said about the league. And,
Yeah, it's something special. Well,
Yeah.
the other thing about it, David, is I'm going to say this. We're playing above ground rather than being below ground.
Well, this is free time.
Yeah, and
Bonus.
you establish relationships with people not only on the field, but off the field.
Yeah.
By the way, I have to say this. I have a son that plays on my team on Saturday mornings,
Yeah.
59 years old. How would any father feel when he's up to bat and he hears something like, "Come on, Dad, get a hit"?
Yeah.
That's senior softball.
Yeah.
And he's there on the bench
Yeah. I know.
waiting to get up to bat. Well, it just makes me feel not any differently than when 1946 when I went home and I couldn't wait for the next game. These games, the night before I lay everything out because I know we're going to play the next morning. You look forward to it.
So planning is important as a manager.
Oh, I plan. I put lineups together. I study them. I study the averages. I don't give the players the averages because I don't want anybody to be singled out as a low hitter, low average. Why can't you do this?
Interesting.
No, you got to make people feel they're part of that
Yeah.
team.
Right. Uh-huh. So how do you think some of today's managers go? How would you contrast Aaron Boone and Cora, the Red Sox manager?
Well, Cora, to me, is the best manager in baseball. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
On the off season, he visits players, calls them, wishes them happy birthday, which I always do that, by the way. And by doing that, they say he's a human being. You know, he knows the feeling, he's got the passion, the empathy and he's been down the road. He's been there before. I picked him as the best manager 4 years ago before, or whenever it was the Yankees passed and the Red Sox got him.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The players seem to all say that. I mean, there's a difference between a player's manager, though. Some people think, was Terry Francona Was he too? Is he too much a player's manager, or can't you be too
No.
much?
Oh, they overdid that thing. Let me tell you, Terry Francona is a great guy, and he's suffering. He's had more problems and
Oh,
all
he
that,
has.
and I'm hoping he comes back. I believe he's still with the Indians, okay, which
Yeah,
are going
right.
to be called now the
Guardians.
Guardians, yeah. But no, Boone, Aaron Boone. My only problem today, if I can say this, is with all those computers behind the manager.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder who's making the calls.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, you wouldn't get that from Billy Martin. You wouldn't get that from, some of the managers that were tough on everybody. But it is, you've got to have a communication. You've got to have that respect, and you'll get trust. If players don't trust you, it ain't going to happen.
You mentioned Billy Martin as the Yankee manager. What was it? What you were telling me a story about somebody who had some praise for Billy Martin.
Yes,
Yeah, as Johnny Pesky.
it was this man right here.
Yeah, Johnny
That wrote
Pesky.
the book, Johnny Pesky.
Yeah.
Could I say it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I said, Johnny, tell me, who is the best manager?
Yeah.
Now, when you say best manager, you're not talking about personality. They did a study back 30, 40 years ago that there were two managers that were responsible for, because of their decision making and how they knew their lineup, they knew every player, what they were capable of doing. Two managers. The manager that got the most wins out of that managerial position was Billy Martin, 15 wins. The second was Earl Weaver with 11. And I met Earl Weaver also.
Okay, what'd you think of him?
Off the field, he's a wonderful. Off the field, he's super gentle, but in the dugout.
They'd probably say that about Belichick too, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I love Belichick.
Yeah, we all do.
Hey, does he win?
Yeah. Well, he has this do your job mindset. Is there a kind of a phrase that you touched on some of them before, but as to a team a team kind of a mindset.
Well, what you got to do is I look at every individual. They're all different personalities. There's no two people alike. And I know what I got to do with every individual. I make sure I contact every individual, or I call them up and talk to them. It's all baseball, softball talk.
Yeah.
But I want to make them, again, you got to feel like you're part of the team. Because if not, it affects then you're under pressure, under stress when you're up to bat. I look for any way I can say, good job. You're doing a great job. Yes. You know, we had a player last year, just started. And I won't mention names.
Yeah. This
You know
is
what
an
I got
EMASS league.
Yeah, in the EMASS. We're talking about EMASS softball. This is a different world, when
Yeah,
you're playing with
sure.
seniors.
Yeah.
He was new. He was 54 years old, young,
Yeah.
a baby in our division, our league,
Yeah.
with EMASS. And all I wanted him to do was something that he could be a hero. And sure enough, he batted in front of me. We had the winning run on second base. He got a base hit to right field. And the run scored, and we won, and we all jumped on this gentleman. And let me tell you something. He's never forgotten that.
Oh yeah.
Never
Yeah,
forgotten that.
no.
And that you give encouragement to people. You make them feel important, that they're part, again, of the team. Not apart from the team, but a part of the team.
Well, that's one of the great things about the EMASS League. Let's talk about that for a few seconds. We're going to do another show. We've done a show with them here, and you and I both met there. And it's such a great way for seniors, especially guys and some women too, to still be active and to have a kind of a social sports engagement with each other as adults, and competitive and yet friendly.
Let me say something. I'll be 85, okay?
Yeah.
And when people hear I'm still playing softball, okay, they think, what is that? How could you do that?
Yeah.
I believe that you will live a longer life, okay, when you play above the ground, being in that softball environment. If you're there 2 days a week, 3 days a week, that's over 70 games in the summer.
That's right.
How many people, I'm going to say it, how many people at 85? We have some great 85 players in that
do.
league,
No, we
84
do.
and 83.
Yeah.
But anybody is old if they're just over 55 to a lot of people.
That's right.
Come to watch one of those EMASS softball games.
Right.
It's amazing. But it just makes you feel that every game you play is going to give you another maybe year extension on life, to be above ground rather than
talking
below
about
ground.
that, how we all got there. We're the lucky ones at this age that are still able to do that at some level anyway. And if anybody told me when I was 12 that I'd be playing softball when I was, my age in my late 70s, and like you at 85, well, you become a model for me. I want to do what Joe did. Okay.
Well, the point is, could I just tell you the first time in the Globe
sure.
paper?
Yeah.
All right, it was on a Saturday. We just came in from Rochester, New York, to move to Boston. And what happened was, my wife said, there's an article about senior softball. What do you mean senior softball? Oh, you mean of 30-year-olds? She said, no, they're talking about 60 and up. I said, well, that can't be, not on the earth. And then what happened was, I decided, all right, it's going to be a week from Saturday, Albemarle in Newton, West Newton.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I got down there and I got out of the car, I had this ego thing that I'm going to show these people.
Yeah.
I looked on the field, and there were people, ground balls, doing double plays, batting practice, hitting the ball a ton, 200-300 feet out there in the field. I said, this can't be true. And I found out it was true. They had tryouts. You went from third to short, second, first, then you got up to bat. And what it really does, David, I don't know if you get this feeling, but every time I'm up there, I'm reliving my youth.
Yes.
I want to be Mickey Mantle. I'm far from it, but I want to be Mickey Mantle.
We can all hear the...
Or Ted Williams if you're a Boston Red Sox fan. And the other thing is, let me tell you, this thing between the Red Sox and Yankees, I love going there dressed up like this. But there's a lot of courtesy there. It's a good bantering back and forth.
It is.
The only thing I'm nervous about is on a Friday night if the Red Sox do win, then I got egg on my face the next day because I'll get cheered down.
I've been reluctant to go to Yankee Stadium with my Red Sox hats on, but I go to Shea Stadium.
Don't do it.
I go to Shea Stadium or Citi Field in the Mets, and they say, well, we have something in common. We both hate the Yankees.
Oh yeah, you don't want to go to Yankee Stadium with a Red Sox hat on, because the police will turn their head.
Well, Dick Flavin, who was on my show, he had a poem that he wrote about baseball, and it ended with, to be in love with baseball is to be forever young.
Yes.
And I think your comments today
that's what it is.
Kind of lived up to that. And
David, I just could say this. 1948, when I got out there with my team called the Wrens, is no different now when I get out there and my name on my Saturday team is the Bombers, of course. There's no different.
Yeah.
You feel the same.
It is.
And it's something that, let's face it, there are a lot of people that can do what we do, and that makes me feel good about it.
There probably are, though. When I've seen guys that come down for the first time and play, I was 70 when I started. I was a 70-year-old rookie in EMASS.
Yes.
I hadn't played in 40 years. And to be out there, and it was incredible. It just felt like I said to somebody, my wife says, you think you're 12, and the guy was standing next to her said, well, you're old then, because my wife says I'm 10, so.
Well, but the difference between my 1948, my Wren shirt, and the players now, there's not that much difference. I got 15 kids in that picture.
Yeah.
And my team I got now is 15. There's 15 players. You put them together, it's the same thing. I have the same kind of relationship. It's just amazing what you do.
Well, thank you, Joe. As I warned you, the clock would wind fast. Do
we have a second?
Well, barely. Go ahead.
Let me read this. It's not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years.
Okay, well, with that, we're going to go out also with another rendition of Joe's Take Me Out to the Ballgame. We thank you all for coming and watching Fan to Fan again. We hope you've enjoyed this walk back through the past of baseball and yet the present. You're never too old to get out there and play baseball. You're certainly never too old to come back and watch Fan to Fan on Access Television. I'm on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays in Framingham, and you can catch these shows on YouTube and on the Access Fram TV channel as well. So thanks for watching, Joe. Thanks. You were a great guest.
Thank you, David.
And
thank you very much.
Thank you again. Thank you again for that great sax solo. Take me out to the ball game.
Thank you.
You go too.